Hello and welcome. Here we are. Today is Saturday. Two fleets of the IMOCA and VOR 65, two different classes of boat, but relatively similar in sizes, will launch from Lorient all the way to Cascais, Portugal, in about 3 days. And this is the start of the Ocean Race Europe version, where there will be 3 steps that will be going to Cascais, then to Alicante, and then Genova. Friday, there was a race, a local race, local to Lorient that happened, and we will study in this video a bit the results and what happened during that day, and also update with the latest weather forecast. There are some changes, interesting changes and implication to the strategy that will happen during the race over the next 3 days. So on that, let's go. So on today's local race happened in very, very light wind. I will show you the tracker. Essentially, there was, extremely light wind on the area. Presently, at the time of recording, there's like less than 5 knots of winds. It was the same during the day. It was, there's a video published by the Ocean Race, which shows the conditions were extremely light, so not extremely exciting. Although the video, I left it in the description of the video. It's really, really, beautiful to see. That being said, the winner is the Austrian Ocean Project on VOR 65 class, which is a one design. So all the 7 boats of the VOR 65 are all absolutely identical. So I don't know much about this crew. It's a very short race with a very light condition. It doesn't really give us clue of who will be on the top contenders during the next leg to Cascais. That being said, congrats to them. On the IMOCA, it's linked out who won the class. There is actually something more interesting to analyze on that. The VOR 65, which are slightly larger and more powerful boats, are expected to be neck and neck with IMOCA, maybe, probably slower when the IMOCA start foiling. And today, during the race, the VOR 65, I believe all or most VOR 65 finished before the first IMOCA finished. So they were far ahead, much faster than the IMOCA, given the conditions, which is interesting and has impact to our analysis for today. So the reason why I think the IMOCA was so slow today is because the wind was extremely slow. So this is an extract from the video published today by the Ocean Race, showing us, the drone image essentially of the race, which was really light, as you can see. Most IMOCA are foiling boats, and they are the present generation of foilers, which means the foils cannot be fully retracted out of the boat. So on those conditions, the foils are useless, and they're actually dragging on the water. And you can see here on those images how it drags on this side, and actually, hopefully we see on the other side, but also the other side, because it is not really angled. Both sides are essentially dragging. So the IMOCA were essentially dragging parachutes underwater, dragging them, slowing them down significantly. Unfortunately, I believe there are 2 IMOCA in the world today that have these fully retractable or nearly fully retractable foils, which are much better in that kind of conditions. Unfortunately, none of them are registered for the Ocean Race Europe, so we don't know how well they would have performed. That being said, what we have learned today is that in very light condition, the VOR 65 are significantly faster, which has implications because, as we saw 2 days ago, the weather forecast for the first half of the leg to Cascais is really light wind. So on that, let's jump into the forecast and the update of the forecast. So this is my latest routing. I have kept the previous routing I did 2 days ago to contrast, and the difference of the weather forecast has an impact on the route. This is the latest weather files that I have downloaded. The old routes for both IMOCA and VOR 65 are here on green and purple. They were going much south in Bay of Biscay here, while they were going far out in the west for the end of the leg, because there was a lot of wind forecast here and a lot less in the direct route. So today, apparently, the wind changed significantly enough that the optimal route has changed, but just changing the optimal route does not mean that there are it does not tell us if there is a lot of opening for terms of strategy and options, or if it is really a dead straight course and just the fastest winds. So if we zoom in a little bit, so the IMOCA are on red and the VO65 are black. The routes are slightly different due to the polar that are slightly different on those boats. The IMOCA tend to take slightly longer routes due to the way the polar are designed and the fact that they are foiling boats. They can accelerate faster, and so they can compensate. They can accelerate faster, but under only some specific conditions. So at the beginning of the race, the weather forecasted is really light. 10 knots of wind on the gusts and 5 to 8 knots of wind on the established. So this is a little better than what we had today, but not much. And I expect, given the results of today's race, that Saturday the VO65 will go far ahead of the IMOCA due to their foils dragging underneath. It will be a little better than today, or maybe the difference will not be as bad. But on the other hand, they will run for much longer, several days. So it would not be surprising if we see significant changes, a stretch between, or a big gap between the VO65 and the IMOCA. Now, compared to yesterday, the optimal route is much farther west and more direct. The reason being there is a little bit more wind on the north part of the race course compared to yesterday. So what I see here are the isochrone of the today's routing from the VO65 and IMOCA. I didn't, to make it clearer, I didn't show the isochrone from the yesterday's routing, but we can compare them here. That being said, if we look at the shape of the isochrone, it's really flat, and I would say that this gives us a lot of the boats may not take this extreme west route and maybe maybe located all the way here in that band of good wind. I mean, better wind, I would say. Here they'll be slightly, it will be slowly increasing. They will start with 5 to 10 knots of wind, and slowly it will build up to 10 knots. And here we see guts at 15. So this becomes lively. If I look at when this will be, this should be on this route the 30th, which means on a Sunday morning they will start picking up a bit more wind, and with the gusts at 15, the foilers will just start to be active. Now they'll probably pop and back down. I think here there'll be a split between the two fleets, where probably the VO65 will be on more direct course, while the IMOCA will start trying to find more wind. Even if this is a bit longer, they can start foiling. They'll be so much faster that it's worth it. We'll see how it goes. The files here don't tell us really precisely how the crews will, make decisions based on local conditions. And these files is more of an average than, and doesn't tell us local conditions. So the crews may do a lot of maneuvers during the first 2 days of the race until they reach good winds, which we'll jump onto. So a little later, actually, I believe on the evening of the 30th, they will start finding good winds right here. Yes, at night or in the evening, the 30th, they'll start picking good winds with 15 knots established, gust at 25, and then it will climb to 36 knots of wind during the night. So I'm a bit disappointed that it's during the night, because we won't have fantastic drone shot during with 25 knots of wind and 35 knots on the gusts. That being said, if the boats are the fastest boat, will probably take good shots, good pictures, good videos during the evening of the 30th and send them to us. They will start to be quite lively, and so they'll find good winds still on the Finisterre, at the edge of the Spain coast. Now the big difference here is that the wind is no longer forecasted to be that strong off the coast of Portugal, and it is still stronger. And we see that clearly we have, a choice to be made between the shortest route, which has some wind. We can see here a band of wind here, and is shorter, of course, versus a longer race course track farther west, where there is not as much wind as forecasted 2 days ago, which means the boats won't accelerate as much. And there is, on the isochrone, we can see that here it's not a bad choice, here it's not a bad choice, in the middle it's pretty bad, so there may be a big decision here, strategic decision to be made. I would expect, again, the IMOCA being able to accelerate faster, and earlier than the VO65. I would expect that it would be more tempting for the IMOCA fleet to take the western option. So this we still have a day and a half at the time of recording, at the time we see it, maybe a full day before they make their choice. Their choice will be made right around here. Here there'll be a decision to be made, and that's the time when using the latest weather forecast, that's where the crews will make their decisions. But there is a good strategy here to be played. While at the end of race course, the wind is picking up again, and shifting slightly west is good. That's what we see here, this tack here. And of course, all boats will converge to Cascais if there are any that takes an option. So it's really tough, and I'm looking forward to it. This is definitely a race course that is much shorter than what I've been used to analyze in the Vendée Globe, but definitely something where there is something to talk about and strategy to be looking forward to them. So for people who don't know how to follow live the race, you have a tracker that is, I will put the link in the description of the video. I don't know how often the position will be updated. It's not clear, I didn't find any information, but I expect at least a few times a day you will have the latest position of the boats, what are the speed and what are the position with respect to others, and we'll be able to, you will be able to follow how and when the strategy are being taken versus what we have analyzed, and I will update as the race go in the next 3 days essentially, and see, compare with what we predicted versus what they are doing and how the weather pattern changes, where the forecast may change. That being said, I wish you fair winds and following seas, and see you soon. Bye bye.